I'm you. Wait, that's the wrong franchise, isn't it? God dang it. Freaking idiot. Hey folks, I'm Bugs and you're the internet. It's time for my first video. Just ignore the others on the channel. They don't exist. Batman. You know him, you love him, you've watched his parents die more times than any sane person should. He's the world's greatest detective, an unstoppable force that fights Gotham's deranged and most dangerous criminals, alongside his most trusted allies. We all admire Batman and his hard work, keeping Gotham safe, but what happens after besting his foes? Well, they go to prisons, of course. Some go to Blackgate, but I think everyone knows where most of the common criminals of Gotham go. There is an island that is home to the crazed, home to the murderers, home to the doctors who break oaths, and a warden set on torture, not rehabilitation. This island is the only thing that criminals fear more than Batman. Arkham Asylum. Batman Arkham Asylum is the first game in the Arkham series and left many players with an overwhelming sense of brooding and a determination for justice, as well as a severe appreciation for this game and raw excitement for whatever came next. Arkham Asylum gave us an in-depth way of fighting crime as the Dark Knight, but is it perfect? Well, that is a tall order, as everything is truly subjective. However, this review will at least just say if I personally think the game is good. I'll be going through a few categories in this review, namely basic gameplay, combat, enemies, story, sound, any loose ends I had yet to clean up from there, and then of course my overall thoughts of the game. That sounds like a lot, but it shouldn't take too long, so let's hop right into it. First, gameplay. The controls are actually pretty good in isolation. Okay, I know that sounds weird, but in comparison to the other games, this one just seems a little more To describe it, certain movements seem slower and aren't always the most responsive, but that could just be me. While I may have some problems with the controls, it's obviously what you do with them that matters, and in that regard, Rocksteady nailed it. Starting with gadgets, the slow progression of gaining gadgets, and then learning to utilize them through means of traversal, combat, and puzzle solving gave me actual joy and excitement whenever I would get a new gadget. I wanted to use it. And when new challenges were added to those gadgets, like the timer on the hacking tool, I actually had fun. Next is stealth sections, or as the game likes to call them, predator sections. I'm sorry, that name just sounds so dumb. Like, is Chris Hansen just going to tell Batman to have a seat? Anyway, if you had asked me when I first beat the game what I thought about the predator sections, I would tell you to ask a hardcore Batman fan about the first hour of the Killing Joke movie. Actually, that's kind of over-exaggeration. I just didn't really get creative with them, causing a sort of dread and staleness when I entered one. But now, a few months after beating the game and playing the other games, I actually came to love them. Though I will say I never actually upgraded any of the items useful to the Predator category, I did enjoy the upgrade system. You gain experience from completing combat and Predator sections, but there were chances to get small bursts of XP as well through things such as Joker's Teeth and Riddler challenges. We'll get to those in a bit. Speaking of XP though, your health gets refilled from it. To put it nicely, whoever thought of that needs to be put in a cage match with Batman. And then if they complain about pain, just tell them your experience will help you. Okay, that's a little bit too cruel, but it's not the best design of the entire series when it comes to that. All the games do follow that trend, but you need less XP in total to fill up your health meter, as opposed to Arkham Asylum. My main gripe was just because I had died so many times in my first playthrough, just because the previous fight I was in didn't even give me a full health bar. Yes, I do understand that it helps you get better at the game, as higher combos will end up giving you higher XP, but I think something could have been thought up to counteract the problems. I don't know, I'm no game designer, I'm just some asshole on the internet. Take what I say with a grain of salt. Okay, combat. While the Predator sections have a lot of possibilities to complete and adapt, the combat sections are more like a set way of dealing things. You punch, counter at the right time, and develop the ability to use some gadgets in combat such as batarangs and bat claws. There's only so much you can do there. Yes, there's the combo meter that allows you to perform finishers and special moves, but most of the time whenever I tried to do one of those moves, my combo immediately dropped to 0, and I made the animation you do when you press the counter button, but no enemies are attacking you. That's really a me problem in total, that's really a me problem overall, but in the middle of combat, that would lead to me getting hit, and overall it was just annoying. Now, don't get me wrong, combat is fun, but in some moments I just kind of hated it. It's just one of those, that's not fair moments. I also kind of had problems at times with the camera was fixed, as it always just was a bit too far back, making it hard to fight and counter in time. The variety for the combat usually comes in specifically 2 types of situations: the types of enemies and the location. Locations normally affect things like arena size and sometimes added challenge to the combat. Of course, the real variety though comes into our next section. There are a few types of enemies you deal with, most of them in the same way, making them feel kinda samey. I mean, to be fair, they are all thugs, with the difference being what they are holding and how you react to them. There are more enemies, of course, like the intensive care patients, who run at you but go down in about 1 hit and a ground takedown. There are also titans, who are kind of annoying. They're sort of mini bosses, but happen so frequently that they don't feel like some unstoppable monster that you overcome, just a time-wasting annoyance. You might hear a little bit more about them. The bosses were honestly kind of lacking as well, but in all honesty, they could be fun at times. Here's a quick run through of my thoughts of the bosses. A quick little note here: what I consider bosses are if you directly face the Batman villain, and not just their henchmen. So, such as the Harley Quinn fight, you don't fight her, you fight her henchman, so she won't count. Bane. Okay, so this is the first boss, and it's actually pretty good. It's very, very basic. It feels sort of like a training boss. But the problem is with that, you already had one slightly earlier in the form of the prototype Titan, which is mainly just there to train you about how the Titans will work later on. Granted, Bane is probably the ultimate description of it, but still. The Scarecrow series. Fun? Yes. A bit confusing? Oh yes. These sections were some of my favorite moments in the game, as they shake up the gameplay while it still feels the same. Therefore, it's this nice little refreshing change to the formula. Killer Croc. I love this section. The feeling of, oh shit, as he starts chasing you, looking all over the place, trying to find him. One of the most terrifying moments in the game. Poison Ivy is the best actual boss fight in the game. It's not perfect though. But since it's the only time you have a tough fight without having to fight a Titan, it kinda gets a higher rating in the overall grand scheme of things. Lastly, Titan Joker. Alrighty, so Titan Joker kinda feels like a Lego game boss, but in the worst way possible, which kinda sucks because I like Lego games and I've always liked their bosses. You fight his basic goon enemies, then the Joker looks away and you have to do whatever the set command is to take him down. In this case, Joker's immediate reaction is, "Ooh, I must taunt the people of Gotham." That was a terrible Mark Hamill impression. When he does that, you can hit him with the bat claw and drag him down. All that really means is that he goes down, you punch him for a bit, and then rinse and repeat. It's not that fun of a boss fight. In all honesty, this feels less like a Joker Titan and more like a Joker Titan Go, if you know what I mean. The story is fairly simple. You beat Joker and took him to Arkham. A large influx of inmates have just arrived from Blackgate as well. And they all seem to be part of Joker's gang. Odd, but whatever. What could possibly go wrong? Oh wait. Joker planned a breakout, and he's been working with a doctor to create Bane Juice X-treme. And he's planning to use that juice to infect Gotham City. You need to stop him. Despite the basic premise, there are enough steps to make the story engaging. Not to mention, the story itself is slowly told to you and not dumped all at once with you just having the end goal of stopping Joker. Not only makes sense, but is actually important. Nothing ever feels out of place or unneeded. Everything feels proper. Once you find out how something happened, you need to find out why and then how to stop it. Okay, so sound is a bit of a weird idea to view in, but I think it's important. I will say, music-wise, I never really noticed anything that truly stood out personally, but it was all extremely excellent in the atmospheric setting. This unsettling, dark, dirty island that houses an asylum? Come on, that's gonna leave you creeped out and put you on edge. This is exactly what this music does. It's perfect for that. Voice acting is obviously quite good as well, seeing as the Bat and Clown trio all reprise their roles from the animated series.
I'd be happy to drop my pants.
Hey man, Harley Quinn here. How do you like my new uniform? Pretty hot, huh?
Listen, the room is full of poison gas. Anyone caught in there is dead.
However, I have a few small things, but nothing major, but still. You see, the first thing I noticed when I started the game is that Commissioner Gordon and Warden Eddie, Quincy Sharp, have the same voice actor.
That's Warden Sharp to you. Joker invades City Hall and holds the mayor hostage.
That, and I'm sorry to whoever this might offend, but the voice actor of Scarecrow in this game to me just doesn't really fit. I understand the character is modulating his voice and he's supposed to sound all creepy, but you can still kind of hear what Jonathan Crane actually sounds like, and to me that makes him so much less terrifying on what already is not the most terrifying interpretation of the Scarecrow.
Boy, little bat, you're in my world now.
Of course, the Joker is a treat to listen to, but I did think that the announcements happened a little too much. I understand that the Joker is annoying and he's taunting Batman along with everyone else on the island, but still, months after beating the game and writing this script, the announcement jingle still haunts me. I think I only have a few loose ends, so here we go. Something that the veterans of the entire series will have PTSD of is a man named Edward Nygma, also known as the Riddler. I am happy to report that this game is possibly the best when it comes to the Riddler side mission. You see, the Riddler taunts you throughout the game to solve his riddles by scanning objects and collecting trophies and breaking teeth. Joker ones, that is. Despite it being the only side mission of the game, I think it was one of my favorite things to do. Remember my comments about the gadgets? This was my main reason behind that. See, Arkham Asylum is a sort of Metroidvania, so every time you get a new tool, you can go back through the area that you have been and get the items you missed the first time round. I also want to say that after my more recent playthrough to get footage and enhance my perception of the game, a fresher perspective, you know? I am proud to say that I've gotten better at the game, so my thoughts on the XP refilling health system isn't as bad as I first let it out to believe. You just need to slowly get better. Overall, I think this game is great. There are small things I found annoying, controls don't always work, and sometimes the game doesn't like me gliding, leading me to jump into gas or into a hallway. Is it perfect? No. Is it an amazing game that I recommend? As Kite Man would say, hell yeah. Hey, thank you for watching and I wish you all well. This is a sort of idea of how I want my content to be, but I have another style I'm going to try out as well. Alright, if you guys like this video, like and subscribe, despite the fact that most likely only like 4 people are ever going to see this video. Thank you. Adios!